All right, it's working. So I have a interesting video message today because I had somebody that was asking me, one of my clients asked me about something, and it spurred a little video today. And I've got my YouTube working
All
again,
right,
so
it's
I'm
working.
happy. And so one thing happened to me years ago where it was 2012, and I had just talked to my friend who was an acupuncturist, is an acupuncturist in San Diego, and she was over at Louise Hay's condo back when Louise Hay was alive, late Louise Hay House, and she had met a homeopath from Portland, Malcolm Smith, and he had done a great presentation there. And she said, "Ralph, you just got to meet this guy." So I called him, and he picked up the phone. He said, "Hello," and so I told him, I wanted to have a session, and he was from Portland. I was already scheduled to go to Portland the very next morning. And he said, "Well, that's great. Just come into my office on Sunday and I will see you in person." And I thought, wow, that's cool. So I hung up the phone and I was totally regular, healthy, good. But I started to get the worst earache ever, worst earache ever. And it was so clogging up my head that I thought, if I get on a plane, I'm going to blow out my eardrum. And I was so freaked out. I told Jen, I can't go. I just can't go. And I was so mad because we had this whole trip planned of going to Portland and then visiting our friends there, taking the train up to Seattle, getting a Matrix Energetics class, taking the train up to Vancouver and seeing our friend, and then flying back and having this great, great time. And I was like, I can't get on a plane. And so I just told her, you have to go by yourself. And so I went to bed and around midnight and woke up in the middle of the night, sometime much later, and my ear was better. I was like, I think I can get on a plane. So I did. And then when I got to Portland, the next day I had my session with Malcolm, and I was walking around Southeast Portland, and I was just thinking, man, I really want to live up here. I want to live in a neighborhood like this, and where there's coffee shops and people are gonna walking around on Sunday morning, and the trees and the trails and the green and the beautiful skies. And but I didn't know how to do it. And so when I saw Malcolm, I said, "Yeah, I almost didn't make it because of I did, last night I had this terrible, or the night before I had this terrible earache, and I almost didn't get on a plane." And he said, "Yeah, this happens. This happens." And what happens is, and I've noticed my own work too. Somebody will want sessions, but they get right to the point of starting to go down that road to saying, "Yes, I'm going to do it," and something happens. It's a fear. It's a fear. And he said, when the ego knows that you're at the door for a big shift where life will be different. He said he's noticed quite a few of his people that sign up for sessions, they call them at the last minute and cancel. And it's because of this. Because when you're at the door, there's a big decision. And it might not even be conscious. Like it wasn't that conscious for me. I just thought I had a big earache. But you can track information where you think, oh, I'm not supposed to go. I'm not supposed to go. I'm not supposed to go. And but is it real information or is it fear? So luckily I got to go, and it was the most transformative thing ever. And by the next spring, by April, we had shut down our office and we were on the road in the Pacific Northwest looking for where to live. And that didn't seem possible back when I had a physical therapy practice in San Diego and a bunch of people working for me and a house and a life and everything else there. But I knew I wanted to live up here. And when I got right to that door, something in me started to freak out. So what I recommend and what I use is different ways so I can tell, is this valid information for me? Of course, there's muscle testing, and with Matrix Energetics, there's a Windows testing, and and you could also just put your hand on your heart and feel it. The truth has a certain smell. It has a certain feeling, and fear has a different smell or feeling. And can you tell the difference? And that, I think, is a very valuable life skill. It's what my clients learn to use. Because as you're going down the road of getting what you truly want in life, there can be some resistances, and part of you doesn't want that because it'll blow up your world, because you'll have to push through limits, because you'll know that there's going to be a big shift, and it's somehow easier to not go down that road and let fear stop you. And so it's really useful to have a way. Some people use a pendulum, some people use muscle testing, some people use matrix energetics window testing. There's different ways. There's motility testing and integrated manual therapy. So I like to check and cross-reference and check and feel it. Because when you get information where you're like, I don't know if I should do this, it's really good to have very clear, heart-centered awareness of what you should do. So hope this helps. Let me know what kind of awareness you guys use to figure out what's true. What's true. And if you have any stories, I'd love to hear how you've come to the door of transformation and dissolving the ego and going to the life that you really want, and what it was like. Were there some resistances? Were you scared? Was there something that said, don't do it? And could you tell if it was your true self or your ego that was telling you that? So I just felt inspired to share this because I had my own experience of this, and I had a client that asked me about this phenomenon. And hope you're all well. And I will see you tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning is Thursday. And if you're watching live, and that's when I do a energetic session for everybody that's on our email list. So I do that tomorrow morning, and then I send out an email about it. So if you want to be on that, you can go to autoimmuneanswers.com and sign up. And I will see you all in the morning. All right, let's get out there and live. Let's really live. Bye now.